Welcome to Seneschal, everyone. So the Beta Codex has arrived, and there are quite a few things going on here. Honestly, some more radical changes than I expected. That being said, I think there are some solid options within the framework, and hopefully we can find the sweet spots where Sisters Battle can be competitive until we hopefully get some new model range and some new units as well. So this video I'll review the Acts of Faith, the Order rules, and the changes to war gear, and then we'll continue just like I did before in a series to go over through the entire codex. Alright, let's dive into what has been really the most divisive change to the index, and that is the Acts of Faith. First, the Acts of Faith points are back from editions back, and we start with 3 for having models with the Acts of Faith special rule in our army, and then gain an additional Act of Faith point for every 10 full infantry models with the rule. You can only attempt each one of the Acts of Faith once per battle round, so no more being able to give multiple units the same Act of Faith a turn, excepting one very specific exception that we'll go into in a different video. So gone are the double move and double shoot mechanics that were really the hallmark of Sisters playstyle. Now we've changed to 3 inches of additional movement and +1 to hit in the shooting phase. There's still a fight twice Act of Faith, though you attempt at the beginning of the fights phase, so it takes a little bit more planning and has a little bit of counterplay available for your opponent. The Act of Faith to return a model or heal a model is also returned essentially unchanged. There are 2 new Acts of Faith, one to auto-pass morale and another to give a unit a 4-up feel no pain to mortal wounds in the psychic phase. The very large caveat to all of these is they only activate on a specific test on a d6. The healing, psychic defense, and morale are activated on a 3. The shooting movement are on a 4, and the fight twice is on a rather rigorous 5. So there are some modifiers available in rerolls from either a model or CP. However, the Acts of Faith are certainly less reliable than they were before. Also, Celestine no longer provides an Act of Faith on her own, which I don't love, so the reliability of the Acts suffer from that change. Now, with all that said, I don't think the system needs to be scrapped or couldn't be worked into a valuable system that is unique to Sisters and still balanced within the greater scope of 40k armies. Looking at the Acts, I think the most impactful one is certainly the Passion, which allows the fight twice. As mixed with the Vessel stratagem I'll discuss in another video, can lead to very strong swing of a turn, assuming we're able to get strong melee models into combat. I think we will use the movement one consistently, especially if we're trying to use the Invulnerable Bubble Warlord trait to help position the Canoness. The healing, psychic defense, and morale Acts of Faith all have impactful possibilities within the course of a game, though I think they're much more situational. The +1 to hit is the one I'm really not sure about. I know we'll use it, but I feel like that is the one like the movement that feels bad to use. I think we're going to end up using it consistently to try and get the most out of our Dominion's damage there, since they are still the most efficient unit for dealing with vehicles and monsters. All that said, looking forward to playtesting this, but my gut reaction is that given that we can only attempt 1 per battle round, and the movement could be moved to 6 inches to make it significantly more valuable without giving the same full movement that we had before, but given how things are worded, Vessel begins to become possibly imbalanced, but we'll see. I also would like to see something other than the +1 to hit, though my mind might change on that note as well. I think the others feel fine at first blush, but the 33% chance to actually succeed on the Passion really does concern me, as it does feel like the cornerstone Act of Faith. Alright, now onto the Order rules. Valorous Heart grants your infantry with that conviction a 6-up feel no pain. This is fine, nothing special, but I can see some people choosing to use it. Our Martyred Lady grants you an Act of Faith point when a unit with a conviction is slain. I'm really underwhelmed by this one. Most games I'm not sure I would use all 6 Acts of Faith, and certainly not every turn. Even assuming we do movement and shooting every battle round and the game's decided within 4 turns, I don't really see us running out of Acts of Faith points that often, unless we're intentionally attempting the Acts at every opportunity. And even then, the list that I built ended up with 9 and 10 points total, so I just don't think we need to generate a million extra points, especially due to us losing the only models that are able to use Acts of Faith in order to generate these extra points with our Martyred Lady. It just doesn't entice me at all to play Martyred Lady, so it's a pass for right now. I'll play test it, but really it just doesn't do anything for me. The Ebon Chalice, on the other hand, feels like the one that has a valuable conviction, as it puts +1 to the Acts of Faith devotion test roll. given how hard most of the more useful acts of faith are to activate, especially the passion. Getting that +1 can really swing the odds to combine with a reroll to give you a chance to actually use it. So this one gets a first chance try in my list. Next we have Argent Shroud, that grants an active faith point on a 4-up whenever a unit with this conviction destroys an enemy unit. This feels slightly better than the Martyred Lady, but still suffers from the same issue of I don't feel like we need that much active faith point generation. But it also generates on a 4-up. I don't know, that just doesn't feel great. Maybe with testing I'll try them and I'll feel better about it. Then comes the other one I really like, Bloody Rose. This one actually helps promote an army around a theme, which every single one of the other ones lacks, which I find quite frustrating. I was really hoping these were going to kind of theme into this is your sister's army that likes, you know, a fast-moving, aggressive Dominions and Seraphim kind of list. This one likes your Repentia, that kind of thing. But really, Bloody Rose is the one that does that, and the others really kind of stutter around and fail to do that. Bloody Rose provides +1 to strength and +1 attack on the turn in which the unit with the conviction charges, is charged, or perform a heroic intervention. This turns the army into a much more potent melee threat, and therefore is the other order I'm going to try out immediately. Lastly, Sacred Rose provides Overwatch on a 5 and 6, as well as never losing more than 1 model to morale. So this one feels relatively impactful, and based on Tau Sept, it would seem like that would be very powerful. However, we can't sit back and play a gun line like Tau, nor do we have for the greater good to maximize the number of models shooting Overwatch. And then the other half of the rule feels subpar, as we have 3 other mechanics to mitigate morale. Actually, really, there's more, but 3 major mechanics to help mitigate morale. So with this much morale phase buffing, it kind of feels overkill, as Sisters don't really benefit as much as some other armies for running large squads. I mean, it's better than before, but not enough that I plan on running multiple 15-girl battle sister squads. Thinking with playtesting, perhaps my mind will change on that. We'll see. Alright, lastly for this video, I'm going to take a look at the changes to our war gear options. Not the points, as I think those changes are in large part a relatively irrelevant change, as they're not changes to Sisters specifically, but for every army who uses those weapons, so every Imperial army. So in the grand scheme of where we sit in the Imperial lists, we didn't change costs for our war gear. So no, what I want to talk about is that for some unknown reason to me, we lost the ability to take Eviscerators and Power Axes. I don't really miss the Power Axe, but losing the Eviscerator boggles my mind. When we finally had an order and an active faith to really capitalize on taking a 12-point upgrade, now 3 points more expensive than a Power Fist, to really maximize that melee cannonness, but they removed that option. I hope it gets returned or gets FAQ'd back into the Codex, maybe at that Power Fist cost. We shall see. It feels like certain points they made choices that were at odds with one another and with the theme of some of these designs. So, as a final thought to this video, I want to say, let's playtest. Let's look at what we like and don't like, really sit down, consider it, write it out, look at our thoughts, how would we improve it? If we provide well thought out feedback, I really believe we can help craft the codex we want to play that is both fun for us to play and also for our opponents to play against. You know, I don't need to win every game I play, but to be able to compete and let the game play out so that there's no feel-bads on either side of the table is my hope for Sisters of Battle. I want to be able to play with my wife up against her Chaos Demons, and to go to an event against any list out there and have fun in both situations. Let me know your thoughts on the book, specifically what I went over today, as I will continue this series and go over the entire book in future. I apologize that I haven't gotten this out sooner, but I've been kind of under the weather, and I'm finally at a point where I feel like I won't be completely incomprehensible while recording. Looking forward to going through the entire codex and having a discussion with you all. Thank you for joining me. Have fun wargaming, and as always, Ave Imperator.